Hello.
Hello, how are you? Oh,
So Tom Johnson, are you the Stu News guy, Laguna? You're muted now somehow.
okay. Am I now? You got me.
Yes, you
now.
do.
I am the Stu News guy.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. How are we all doing tonight?
Great,
well,
thank you.
my knee hurts. I got an earache and
Gosh, stand in line, Gene.
getting old. What is this? This keyboard? I don't need this keyboard. There we go.
Yeah, I get healthy just so I can get hurt.
I see Ashley was tuning in. Did she go somewhere?
In and out, in and out. Let's see what happened here. I got
I don't know.
participants. So our schedule, Tom, as we say, the meeting starts at 7, but Gail will introduce the speaker at 7:15.
Perfect.
So we will tap dance for about 15 minutes.
No problem. As long as you don't ask me to show everybody how to dance, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay, so the president is turned around and left. And
No, I didn't. I just changing some light.
I see.
Hi.
Oh, great. Our speaker's here. That's a good sign.
Always a good sign. Always a good sign.
Always a good sign. Okay, well, I'll take that as a positive.
David, Tom Johnson is the new publisher of Stu News Laguna.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, hi. Yeah, good, thanks.
Nice to see you.
So, for years, Tom, we had in-person events, and it was always the highlight of the event when the speaker showed up.
Yeah. You know, all the times I've always made my appearance as being a speaker, except one time, and I'll never forget it. I'm sitting there, and it's like, I think it was a Sunday morning or something. I was supposed to be somewhere, and all of a sudden I'm driving in the car Sunday with nothing to do, and all of a sudden it just dawned on me, uh-oh, I think I was supposed to be somewhere this morning. That's the only time I ever missed.
Well, there you go.
It happens.
Neil Fitzpatrick is a former mayor of Laguna Beach, so when he arrives, let's boo him. Hey, my finger, I gotta click all these people.
Just gotta turn the phone down. So, oh, a few other people are joining. It looks like is the time.
It takes a little while. Oh, Neil's coming in again. Two Neils. Hello. Hi, Rosemary. How you doing?
Good. How are
Rosemary
you?
Boyd. Rosemary Boyd lives across the street, so we could have done this together, but and we have Johanna Felder. Johanna Felder, where are you? Oh, you're downstairs, huh?
Avoiding any type of quorum or something. So keep somebody across the street, somebody downstairs, somebody upstairs. Good.
Well, my wife and I, we don't like to talk to each other, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You just Zoom each other then?
We've had a couple of Zoom meetings, but that was with my sisters.
We meet once in a while.
Yeah, we had dinner together.
And I hope everyone has had dinner, and pour yourself a glass of wine or water or coffee, whatever you need to stay awake, please.
Within reason.
Yes.
I'll be back.
Where are you going?
Never mind.
So
Oh.
iPad 90 is going to join us. Neil Fitzpatrick's having a tough time. I'm clicking him in.
You all hear about the storm over LA today?
No,
We got a few inches. I mean, we got a few
Out of the
drops of
ocean,
rain
you
here.
know, a lot of rain, yeah.
The Raider game, the Raiders and the Chargers are playing in Inglewood. And even though it's indoors, the lightning was so bad outdoors, they had to stop. I mean, they had to delay the game for 30 minutes.
Wow, how does that, I mean,
They were
Oh,
worried
geez.
about the people in the top deck because I guess it's open air up there a little. And
Oh.
so they delayed it for half an hour. And my daughter was driving to, she's a nurse up at Long Beach Memorial. And she said it looked, just dark and bad up there. So interesting.
Well, we had a gorgeous sunset here, but after the sunset was over, there was a big black cloud somewhere.
How about a big black oil slick too?
But we can't see it. We can't see it from our house. So if people don't know Tom Johnson, he's the new publisher of the Stew News Laguna. But Shayna has not gone anywhere. She is doing business stuff.
she's doing what stuff?
Marketing ads,
Okay.
making money. I don't know.
hey Jane, maybe Tom can say a few words while we're waiting.
And we appreciate the coverage.
Oh, okay. I have to shut my door because I have a dog out and back barking. So hang on. I
Who
don't know.
let the dog out?
This place going to the dogs. We knew that.
Anyway, I'm back. Yeah, so I'm taking over the operation, kind of the daily publishing editorial side of Stew News. I've been in this, I've been doing newspapers for a long time. I oversaw the Daily Pilot and the Coastline Pilot and 8 other products for the LA Times. Let's see, I started Stew News Newport with Shane and Stu. And we're just plugging along, having a good time. And I intend on getting out there and meeting people. For example, tomorrow I'm downtown and got a series of appointments the next 3 days down there. But if anybody ever wants to get together, I'm totally open to that. All you have to do is shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'm happy to meet. I'll even buy the cup of coffee. If you have cream and it's extra, you got to pay for your own cream. But other than that, I'm very looking forward to it. So there's my dog again.
Well, welcome to Laguna Beach.
Tom, do you have a contact email or something?
Yes. Why don't I put it up here? It's pretty easy. It's Tom Johnson at me.com.
Tom Johnson, is that one word?
Tom Johnson, one word, at me.com.
Good. Great.
I will also tell you that I'm always interested in creating opportunities for different voices in the paper. So, it's the standard stuff. I mean, there are letters, there are guest columns, things like that. But also, there's sidebars where I like to put in calendars of different things that are happening in town. So if there's an organization that has a number of events or whatever, and we should be posting a calendar for them, I'm happy to do that. What's that? Anyway,
Go ahead, Tom.
okay, so I'll just give you a quick, I kind of look at this as four different parts of what Stu News should be. Stu News should be, kind of the watchdog news source of the community, so that, we report on things going on. If somebody's overstepping their bounds, doing something illegal or whatever, we should jump in there and, hold their feet to the fire and keep them on track and report that kind of stuff. So that's the first part. The second part is we should be the community forum, and that's kind of where the different voices come in. Is, we don't want to eliminate voices. We want to include voices. So, as long as you receive stuff that's respectful. I mean, you don't have to agree with anybody or whatever, but some people unfortunately write stuff sometimes that you can't reprint. And then they wonder, like, well, why didn't you run my letter? And it was, well, if you cleaned it up, I'd be happy to do that. But so the second part is a community forum, and that can run a lot of different ways. As I said, through letters, columns, regular submissions, lots of things. I also will write a regular column. I'm always looking to connect with people. As we go along, you'll start seeing that, as I talk to people in the community and stuff, I get little tidbits. And I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area, and there was a guy up there when I was a kid named Herb Kane.
Daniel from the Indies, is it?
What's that? And then I like to put a lot of different things in my columns. So the community watchdog, the community forum, the third part is a reservoir of information. We should be able to find something for everybody in the paper. So if it's a Girl Scout troop that's pinning somebody with the, what's it called, the Gold Star, Gold Award, or whatever it is, we should find that in the paper, a place for that in the paper. If it's a car wash raising money for, we should find a spot. So whatever the spectrum is, we should be able to find something in the paper. And the fourth part is, at the end of the day, we should be the community cheerleader in that. That doesn't mean it's always going to be fun and games and everything, but we should want the community to be successful as a whole. And so, I've been in instances before where there's been somebody that's been on the downside of life or whatever. And, through something we've done in one of my papers or whatever, we've given them an opportunity. I can remember years ago, a young family had moved out from the East Coast. They had a couple of kids. They got out here and everything had kind of fallen apart. They had lost their jobs and they had two young children. They're living out of a car, and it was Christmas time. And so I wrote a story about them. We got them a new car. We got them an apartment for 3 months and a lot of things. And the community kind of, put all that together. So it was a great thing. So that's kind of what I mean by a community cheerleader, just, and it can run the gamut on a lot of things. Anyway, that's kind of what I think. Yes.
Gail, is it all right if I ask him a question?
Yes.
Sure.
That's fine.
I want to know if you're going to have an article on the Brown Act this week in Stu News about the city council, because that's something that's been a big deal in town right now. And I'm just wondering if you see that as newsworthy.
Okay, so I'm writing a little bit about it tomorrow. I want to be honest with you and say I'm still getting my bearings. I'm not coming in like I'm the know-it-all, and so I'm trying to talk to different people, get to know different people. So I have relationships with people that I can, get those voices and that input to me. So there'll be a little on it tomorrow, but I mean, it's something that I'm trying to get my arms fully around. I'm not avoiding it. I just don't want to jump into certain things and and act like I know what I'm talking about and not fully know what I'm talking about. I mean, I know the general issue that, you know, that it happened at a city council meeting. It happened with the Hotel Laguna. It happened with, you know, potentially some, you know, some things being shared. You know, some people say it was for the community good. Other people say it shouldn't have happened and all of that. And so I'm just kind of piecing it all together and getting my bearings on it, to be honest with you. So again, not avoiding it, but I just want to make sure when I do it, it's done right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'd like to reserve this time for public service announcements because we have, normally, as you know, we would, at the beginning of a dinner meeting, we would let people present.
Gail, unmute yourself. Gail, unmute yourself.
I was unmuted. So you
Yeah,
must have
but
muted
there
everyone.
was some background noise from somebody who let the dog out. Probably was Tom
Oh.
Johnson.
So,
Who let
okay,
the
well,
dog out?
all right. Putting aside Jean's singing, of course, while we're waiting to start the meeting, I would like to use this time for a few minutes if there's any public service announcements. And I'll start it off because actually Stu News Laguna has been very good. There's a blood drive coming this Wednesday from 10 to 4 down in South Laguna at the Pacific Sotheby's real estate office across from 3 Arch Bay. So if you want to give blood on Wednesday from 10 to 4, they need it desperately. And there's also a team there from UCI and the National Institutes of Health talking about a study called All of Us Precision Medicine. And you can find out about that also. But primarily we want to promote, obviously, the Red Cross needs blood. So Wednesday, if you can, come down to South Laguna, Pacific Sotheby's parking lot, you'll see the van and everybody give what they can. So is there anyone else that has perhaps a public service announcement to make at this time before we start the meeting in another minute? I don't see anybody's hands raised. So, well, I know we had a few more people that were coming.
Yeah,
Yes,
Rosemary
Rosemary?
wants to make an
okay.
announcement.
yeah. I don't know if everybody has noticed, but there are several groups around town that are asking for donations of things, and I don't know what all they need, but the shelter needs newspapers for lining their stuff. You know, newspapers are going out of style. You can't line the dog pens with e-news. They need newspapers. And then the seal, what do you call the thing that takes care of seals and stuff? They're wanting some stuff, including like gloves and masks, so they can work on the beach area for and help animals that are getting oiled.
Pacific Marine Mammal.
Yes, Marine Mammal Center, right. So if people have extra gloves, whatever, they could go online and see what all they need. There was a list.
Great. So, all right, any other hands up? No, well, then I'm going to open the meeting and make an announcement that I want to welcome David Raber here tonight and welcome all of you that are attending. And as you know, because of the resurgence of COVID-19 and its variants, we have not gone back to in-person meetings. We have been looking into the dinner meetings restarting, but everybody's still wanting to be very cautious. So for the time being, we are not going forward with in-person dinner meetings. And in November 1st, Monday, 7 o'clock, our speaker is our assembly person, Connie Petrie Norris, and she will be talking to us about local versus state issues. And so we're looking forward to having her as a guest speaker in November. So please mark your calendars, November 1st. And then we'll be taking more speakers either by Zoom or in person, looking at how the situation is after a few more months. So with that being said, I think it's time to open the meeting and welcome David Raber. He is part of the Laguna Residents First Coalition, a co-founder, along with actually Gene Felder and Merrill Anderson, correct? And David first moved to Laguna in 1999. He's been active in community organizations, including Temple Hills Community Association, the Beautification Council, and the Historic Preservation Ordinance Task Force. So as a survivor of Design Review and Planning Commission, he wants to, I think, continue his interest in the community. And as you know, he is working very hard to get the word out about the ballot initiative. So without too much further ado, I'm going to let David launch into his talk and welcome him and say thank you for being here.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it. And let me get the screen share going. Uh-oh, the host disabled screen sharing. Gene?
Oh.
It
Okay,
says
you click it.
Is what? Re-click it now?
I guess so. Go ahead.
No, host is disabled participant screen sharing.
Well, let's see. Well, I don't know what to click. What am I supposed to click here? It says share.
That's sharing your screen.
You are, well, I don't want us to do that. Let's see. Participants now can now share. Well, does anyone know how to do this? You are sharing his screen.
I think David has to click on his own share screen.
Yeah, but when I do it, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So you can share yours as you've demonstrated, just that the setup is that I've maybe right click on me and then see if you can enable my screen sharing.
Okay.
Why don't we first get rid of your screen sharing?
Well, we'll try to do that. Let's see here.
This is a first time for that.
So you think if I right click somewhere?
Well, click on me and then like right click on those three dots and see if that enables screen sharing. I'm not the host, so I can't tell for sure, but.
Let's see. Got more over here. I got chat, stop video, pin, spotlight for everybody. I'll make you the host. Do you want to change host to David Raber? I'll put yes. How's that?
Okay. Except I think then the all the comments and everything goes to you.
Well, that's fine.
Oh, it goes to me, but.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We'll see if you can hit share screen now.
Okay, so yep, I can, and let's do that. So now, can everybody see the screen? The
Yes.
Laguna, the future, the ballot initiative?
I can.
Good. Okay. So this is actually an update from the dialogue that started with the Laguna Canyon Conservancy. It was November 2018, the dinner meeting. I was invited to speak with Tony about this. And as Gail pointed out, I'm the co-founder of Laguna Residents First and instrumental in getting the ballot initiative written. And I'll just say that there was a lot of thought and rethought again about the protections and where that all stands. And as the opposition has come in the last month or so about it, it wasn't anything shocking. It was to be expected. And there is a dialogue in town about what really the future should be and how we should position the town for that future. So let's talk about that. But before we do, we'd like to just talk about a few canyon-specific issues. The whole thing about the blue line streams and not updating the map of where the blue line streams are seems like a real weakness in City Council's responsibility in the canyon. I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of shocked about how that has been ignored for so long, kind of at the convenience or whatever it is I think the wildlife corridor is also an issue that needs to be addressed, not just on a city basis, but probably more likely on a county and state basis. And I'm not going to talk about these in detail. Just want to take an inventory of a few of these so that then maybe we can reach a short conclusion on this and see what you think. Loving Laguna Canyon to death. There's certainly increased traffic for people walking the canyon, enjoying the canyon, increased bike traffic, increased foot traffic. And what do we do to accommodate that on one hand and to ration it on another? The open space covenant. The open space covenant doesn't just go on forever automatically. It has to be renewed. I think it's 2027 by a ballot initiative. So we will need to get the forces mobilized, not just for people in the canyon, but for the whole city really has to vote on that. And then the Laguna Canyon annexation area specific plan. The small scale rural guarantees made in the opening remarks in that document seem to be ignored. Even planning commissioner has belittled it. Who says that the Laguna Canyon needs to be small scale and rural? Well, we the people of Laguna have this Laguna Canyon annexation specific plan. And in that plan, we passed the specification of that. So I think planning commissioners, city council, everybody needs to be aware that that is the commitment that we made. And then just want to mention, I was an alternate for the Laguna Canyon Road Task Force. I sat on 3 of the meetings and was alternate for others. And I think it was really clear from that task force that we didn't see a way of or we could see a way you could pour concrete down the canyon and make the road wider, but the implications of that are really serious. And I'm sure I don't have to convince you of that, but there is a resurgence again of, well, maybe we'd add an extra lane, kind of an in and out reversible lane. Maybe we could add 2 lanes. Well, maybe we could just ask for it and then get the money and use the money for something else. I mean, there's a lot of like kind of crazy things contemplated there. But if anyone has ever sat, and this would be people living in the city, now the canyon, if anybody's ever sat, say at Ganal Lumber and tried to turn back into town, especially on Saturday afternoon, oh my gosh, it's just atrocious how much traffic there is. Now, think of an extra lane. Think of 2 lanes coming in, 1 coming out, and it becomes like the next level up in some horrific video game of trying to survive getting back in. The problem is that you can increase the capacity of Laguna Canyon Road if it was just a matter of in and out, but it's not. It's all of the uses that we put in the canyon. There's residential there, there's education there, there's some light industry, there's open space that people are enjoying. There's a lot of things going on in the canyon. People are coming, going, and using Laguna Canyon Road as the conduit, the access point for that. So if you're going to increase the lanes, then you need to put a frontage road in, just like you have in the front of the Boys and Girls Club. And then you'd have to put stoplights every 0.2 of a mile so that people could access the frontage road. And now you have a 200-foot wide program going through the canyon. So there just really isn't a convenient stopping point for doing anything with the canyon. And if you do, what would happen when the people got to Laguna anyway? So just my experience, Laguna Canyon Road Task Force opened my eyes to yet another aspect of how fragile the Laguna Canyon is, and it continues to be made more fragile, seems, as the years go on, as more of us put more and more demands on it. So at some point, we really have to take all of this, and there's, I'm sure, more issues too, and think about how do we really program the future in a way that that makes sense. So this is where my question here of perhaps we need a ballot initiative specifically for the canyon. This would be a citywide initiative, like they all have to be, but seems like we need some predictability to these canyon issues, that things like the Blue Line Stream, Relic, or all these things really are kind of toyed with for the convenience of something else expedient that doesn't really take into effect what's going to happen. So we're going to talk about the ballot initiative for citywide issues, but I'd like to also have us start thinking about a ballot initiative specifically for canyon issues. It's not quite too late to do it for the 2022 ballot, but we'd have to get a group together that really wants to roll up their sleeves and work on that. Because I tell you that writing what would become law in the city for a ballot initiative is not an easy undertaking. Okay, with that introduction, let's just breeze through some introduction of the rest of Laguna. And I love to start with this picture from 1990s of Forreston Park. And here we have horses running down Forest Avenue. And then in the 1910s, a few cars are starting to appear. Not much of a traffic jam yet. And then in the 20s, wow, we're really moving here. The little wind post there on the corner is still standing, and maybe a few stores are, but not much. Okay, from the 30s, here's a parade, more cars. Oh, in the 40s, don't you love this line of those old sedans there? You can only imagine what this is like when everybody tries to start going home from the beach in the 40s with their cars and the windows rolled down. And then the Laguna that we know today, actual photo of Laguna on a Saturday afternoon. We've all been, we've been here in this traffic jam. So that's what we really face, and that's kind of the setting for what we're need to do. This is Laguna of tomorrow. Oh, and on purpose, it's blank. So just as you're thinking about this whole thing, what we discussed tonight, and thinking about tomorrow and the day after, let's think about how should this look? And we all may have a slightly different take on what it should look like, but let's find out where the commonality is and not just take the developer's word for it, and come up with a vision. And there's some ground rules that talk about tonight that we put together, but think of your own vision here for the Laguna tomorrow. As I said before, there's a special case I think to be made from Laguna. Some people who are into progress say, Laguna is not that different than other cities. Everybody thinks they're unique. I think we really are unique. We're nestled between mountains and beach, and certainly in Orange County, this is the only town I know of where there's only two ways in and out. There's Coast Highway and there's Laguna Canyon Road. And you can't say that about Dana Point or Newport Beach or Huntington Beach or Irvine or any place else. There's two ways in and out of this place, which creates something that we really have to think about how we're going to do and accommodate progress. Like this, visitors, they already love Laguna to death. Tony Eisman, I think this is your quote, and it's hard to justify subsidizing more visitors in this, especially day trippers in this situation. But it's not like we could put a toll booth up and charge them. So what kind of things do we put in place to really manage and then mitigate when people want to have more congestion? What we see in town, I've talked about this several times, is that, well, how this came about. One of the planning commissioners also belittled as charming. What's charming? I don't understand. People say charming. What is it? And this is an artist who, is asking what charm is. Well, what's art? So he doesn't know apparently. So I took this challenge and I started walking up and down the streets. And what is it that we like about this town? Everybody, has different things. But for me, I look at it, and as I look at one store and another, I see individual decisions that haven't been made over time. You go back to that 1900 slide of the horses going up Forest Avenue. Horses don't go up and down Forest Avenue anymore. Well, actually, cars don't even go up and down Forest Avenue anymore. So, times change. But over time, then we have individual property owners making individual decisions in town about their property. and things have progressed. I mean, even Peter Blake's Gallery was a place where you used to take your radio and TV when a tube burned out, to figure out what tube needed to be replaced and sell you the new tube. And now it's an art gallery. And now actually it's just the headquarters for more of a virtual art sales marketing world. But that's fine. We're not talking about just inhibiting any of that, but we are talking about putting it on a scale and decentralizing the decisions so we can keep the organic mosaic, the essence of what time has been kind to Laguna Beach, to keep that. Because if we have monolithic block long development, like downtown Disney, downtown Disney is monolithic blocks and blocks and blocks long development. And they tried to variegate, to get some diversity to it. But you look at it, your eye looks at it and it says, okay, this is synthetic. But you look at downtown Laguna, it's one of the few places where you could say, this is an organic mosaic that developed over time and that time has been really kind to. So I think with that kind of a unique treasure, that it behooves us to think about ways to keep that in mind. It doesn't have anything to do with suppressing business, doesn't have anything to do with keeping empty storefronts, it just has to do with keeping a business environment that will retain the value that's compatible with the rest of the premium value that the Laguna brand mentions. If you say, tell someone, oh, I'm from Irvine, it's like, oh, I'm from whatever. But if you go, halfway around the world, all the way around the world, and say, I'm from Laguna Beach, everybody says, oh, Laguna Beach. Oh, I love that place, right? So there is something that we have unique here. This is kind of the opposite, right? This is what's happened in Dana Point. Dana Point did pass a ballot initiative, but most of this was approved just before the ballot initiative took effect. And these 4-story apartment buildings with retail on the bottom, this may actually be a suitable solution for Dana Point. Dana Point has lots of ways in and out. They do have Coast Highway running through the town, they share with that. But Dana Point maybe needed something different. I don't know, maybe this is something good for them. But this would be atrocious. If you can imagine 4 or even 3-story apartment buildings on Lower Forest or Lower Ocean or even Broadway. Or taller buildings along the coastline. Could we accommodate one of these? Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe. If we had to, could we accommodate 2? Well, the point is, at some point, enough's enough. And the problem with allowing 1 is that then the next property owner would say, well, you allowed that to happen there, so now you have to allow me to have it happen. So at some place, you really have to be careful, even conservative about what you do, or you set in motion a dramatic change. And I'd say that Huntington Beach has been dramatically changed. And anyway, enough of that. These are some of the proposals that have been submitted recently for Laguna Beach. On the upper left here, that's the artist's conception from the developer of his project. This is the block that is north of the Art Museum. So this would be the Museum Hotel. And the developer brags about assembling this property 7 different lots, 7 different real estate transactions, which, Gail, I know that's an accomplishment. We got to give him credit for doing that. But now that you've assembled it, then you're going to put a building there. And he has tried a little bit of irrigation change here and there from the theme, but this is not the organic mosaic that we have in the rest of downtown on the other side of the block, say. And then this picture on the upper level doesn't really show the whole thing, because the bricks on the upper level, those are 36 feet high. Then, as if it was somehow just magic, there is a rooftop deck proposed. And I don't know, how does that not count in a 36 high limit? because you will have a bar, you'll have an elevator. Now, people could get on the elevator on the ground floor and push a button, and your feet will come out on 36 feet above the ground. And it seems that then you're getting into something that isn't just temporary. You know, temporary umbrella, temporary table is one thing. But when you're really serving customers in a serious way, it seems that nothing against rooftop decks. We all love rooftop decks, but it would require to mitigate the parking that would be that would come with the congestion of people using the deck, and then also mitigate the height issue, because it does block a whole nother block of North Laguna. As you go up the hill, the more height you have in this location, then that's leveraged just the fulcrum point of view, and the more of the ocean you block. Can we block a little more ocean? Well, I don't know. I mean, how much ocean do we want to block? We already have surf and sand. Again, can we accommodate one more? Can we accommodate two more? And, you know, even take the surf and sand example. That was something that City Council thought was a great idea. They passed it, right? And then there was a whole dialogue that came along with town on that. This picture on the right is not a proposal for Laguna Beach, but this is one of the 5 developers that contributed to Liberate Laguna. This is from their website, that this is the typical of things that they have installed. And they've installed, this is actually from Irvine, an Irvine proposal. But can you imagine the canyon with a whole series of these, with like maybe 20 of these buildings? It's not that far away from happening if we can't renew the open space covenant, or even if on the south side of Laguna Canyon, we lose the industrial sites to more aggressive development. And then, of course, you have the picture of downtown Laguna. So redevelopment, how does it work? There is a financial incentive for people to make money off of Laguna Beach, right? So just take an example. This example from one of the local developer who contributed to Liberate Laguna. This is one example of from their website of them explaining their own business. So I'll just read it. A key strategy behind XYZ Realty is our ability to add value to real estate through securing land use entitlements that allows properties to be developed. Land use entitlements are approvals from local municipalities as well as state and federal agencies. Okay, so far so good. This is the introduction. Then it goes on to say, land use entitlements are typically discretionary actions that require approval from the local planning commission and or city council through a vote of that governing body. This approval process is a risk that most, in this case, home builders, but say builders in general, will not undertake, which creates an opportunity for XYZ to purchase real estate, secure entitlements, and then sell the real estate with the entitlement approvals to another builder who would go on and develop the site and sell homes or whatever. So this is the business of some people. I mean, some people, you know, like Macy's would say our business is to find attractive apparel in different locations around the world, to refine it and then bring it to the US and display it attractively so that people come and buy it and mark it up at a profit, right? I mean, making profit is not an issue. It's just that as developers work on Laguna to monetize that, I think we need to be sensitive to the target that we have developed over the years and now with a premium value, and not just let that all slip through and well, basically eliminate the premium value by not making an attractive place. So again, redevelopment, find property that has development potential, and then create a development plan, like the Museum Hotel was Mr. Honecker's plan for that block. And then influence city council to allow more valuable land use. And this takes some work. This takes knowing city council and city staff, and it takes maybe a year or 2, 3 to work through the process of having city council allow more valuable land use. And then sell the pre-approved plans at a profit. So this is one of the kind of the impetus for a ballot initiative to lay some ground rules. So there is an incentive for developers to work through a process like this. And this is only for big projects. You know, the ballot initiative doesn't have anything to do with smaller projects. And I'll show you some examples in just a minute. So is there room for constructive change in Laguna? You bet. Does the White House restaurant need renovation? Well, of course. You know, are there some things in North Laguna that need renovation? You know, what's interesting about North Laguna is that because of things like the museum hotel, there's much less incentive right now for the landlord to get a merchant in, because it's almost more valuable empty. So then once you get the plans, you'll be able to either sell it or build it without having to wait for the leases to expire. You know, one little diddly lease after another when you could build a whole hotel. So some of the vacancies in town are self-inflicted by the landlords waiting for a big check to be written to them to buy another whole block. So is there room for intensification? This is where I say not so much, because of the nature of the town and what we covered before. But it would enrich some selected current landowners, and there is effective lobby. Say Laguna Forward is the new name for Liberate Laguna. Just to show you the kind of money that's being spent, the Liberate Laguna and the now Laguna Forward PAC, since the 2018 election, has raised, according to their public filings, $256,000, 256, actually $500, little over $250,000 just to influence the Laguna Beach city council races. That's a large amount of money. That's more than the candidates spend. And 94% of that, over 94% of that, is from 5 large developers. So it's very top heavy in the contribution. Contrast this to like Liberate Laguna over contrast this to Village Laguna over 200 contributors, and the average contribution is less than $120. So kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the payout of what's going on to influence and to change that blank slide of the future of Laguna Beach. So is there room for constructive change around here? Of course. Hobie Sports downtown, they used to have just the right half here. They expanded into the left half. They did a great job remodeling, incorporating this. And this would have been something that would not have any trigger in the ballot initiative. The ballot initiative doesn't try to stop everything. And this is a good example. And, you know, Tuvalu, across down on Glen Air there, their design studio up Glen Air a little bit, that used to be what, the smoke shop? And then they were able to take that over and incorporate that into their space. Again, ballot initiative doesn't have anything to do with any of that. If a downtown merchant wanted to change, if the shoe guy on Forest wanted to, I didn't never bought there, maybe a lot of you have, but I haven't bought anything yet, so I'll just call him the shoe guy. If he wanted to change to carry, you know, half purses and half shoes, or shoes and stockings or whatever, ballot initiative has nothing to do about how he runs his business. The only thing, if he was to sell to a bar, say a new whiskey bar in town, and we're not against, you know, whiskey bars per se, but there would be this intensification of use that then, so how are we going to park it? Oh, gee, there's no parking on that lot. Well, we're all aware of that. So the city has a parking in lieu fee that they seem to love to waive, but just be serious about charging the parking in lieu fee. Then when it came time to build a parking structure somewhere, we actually have money to pay for it. So, but I digress on that. Anyway, that's what intensification, like the museum hotel, is there room for that? I don't think so. Not in this town, you know, especially when you take the Nothing against wedding receptions, but when you take the load of maybe 6 or 7 additional venues in town supporting wedding receptions, we would have a lot on our hands. So intensification, no. So let's take a look at the ballot initiative. It's in its final form now, and we're collecting signatures. If we collect signatures, then it'll be on the ballot in 2022. And it creates a new overlay zone. So the effect of that is that there is nothing that's changed with the underlying zoning. The underlying zoning also is in effect. So if the underlying zoning says that the building has to be attractive in some way, it still has to be attractive in some way. But the ballot initiative itself doesn't address that type of thing. That's still left to the underlying zone. I will talk about the overlay zone specifically in just a minute, but it doesn't take the place of existing zoning. It's only the most visible, congested parts of town, 750 feet on either side of Coast Highway. And when passed, it will allow residents to accept or reject large-scale development. So this will bring better proposals to the table. You wouldn't want to go through all this effort of trying to put, if you're going through the effort just to increase the money of the value on some property and then sell it to somebody else to finish off the details and build, you may be tempted to put a proposal in that isn't as receptive to the public. But if it's a very large project and you know the public's going to have to vote on it, you're going to do things. You're going to put some parks, some open space, something. And then it also will give the developer a cleaner picture of the opportunities here. So this will give us cleaner proposals from the ground rules of what is a major proposal. So I'd like to encourage everyone to do is, let's see, actually, if I could, for a second, to 2 slides that somehow came out, and I will put them back in. Okay, so here's where we were, the new overlay zone. There's triggers that one of these triggers have to be triggered. It's not a major project. So 200 more daily trips. There's formulas that the National Association of Automotive Engineers puts on the use and the square footage. The Costa Mesa ballot initiative had this as 100. We've seen others that are 200, but they're predominantly between 100 and 200. We are on the large side. This is incremental trips. So again, Hobie, the right half of Hobie was already accounted for. The new left part of Hobie was also retail. So that would come out as 0 additional daily trips. Less on-site parking than was required today. We literally just took the current parking laws of what's required today and instituted that in the ballot initiative. Now, why would we need to do that? Well, if you look over the past 5 years, you see that City Council has been very generous with caving on the parking requirements. So this just codifies what we have today. And you know, is like every retail establishment going to require 3 parking spaces for every 1,000 square feet? Well, no. On average, well, now you have something. You know, if you just take the averages of what we have in place today, you look at Laguna Beach, does it feel like we have too much parking? No. I mean, you know, okay, 10 o'clock at night on a Wednesday, yeah. But on a Saturday afternoon, it feels about right to me. It feels like, you know, we don't need a huge amount more parking, but we certainly couldn't do with any less. So this is just enshrines what we have today with the rule, with the general rule. It has to have rules. You know, you can't have people sitting around making a decision for every single little thing. You know, if Whole Foods wants to have a new brand of hot sauce they're carrying, will that increase traffic or require more parking? No, just do it on square footage. And that's what both of these are, square footage of the retail space. Then overall, larger than 22,000 square feet of floor space. That's huge. The Dornan project in the Canyon probably would just be right around, well, is right around that number. They probably could have trimmed the project back a little bit and gotten under the space if need be. But the point is that like the Clio Hotel proposal, the Museum Hotel proposal, those clearly would be over 22,000 square feet. What a lot of projects would be done, you could demolish 2 lots downtown. Hobie could have demolished what they have and rebuilt the whole thing. Of course, it's historic, and we would hope they wouldn't do that. But it would be that probably more like about 4,000 square feet. I don't know exactly, but it's not going to be 22,000 square feet. That's a huge number. Also, just go back to that. There's been some concern about that this might inhibit public safety buildings. Public safety buildings might get triggered. We have to vote on a new fire station. Okay. Fire stations are not this large. The average bay for a fire truck is about 20 by 50 feet, about 1,000 square feet per fire truck. So let's say take 15 fire trucks, and then we have 7,000 square feet left over for the crew quarters and offices and administration and storage. No, fire stations just aren't that large, even in Irvine, especially here. So then there's combination of large lots. So you put many lots together like Mr. Honecker did in North Laguna, and you do run a danger of interfering with that organic mosaic. So this is aimed specifically at the keeping the organic mosaic alive and going with individual decisions by individual property owners, rather than just mow everything down and make a monolithic decision for an entire block, which would change the look and feel of Laguna. And then taller than current permitted. We literally copied the current Laguna Beach height code. And, we have commitments from some city council. Oh, we're all for just the 36-foot height limit. But, I'll tell you, it is a lot less in some places. You put 36-foot high buildings on Lower Forest or on the ocean side of Coast Highway, and you have a whole different town on your hands. So it's just the current height limitations. If you want to tear a building down and rebuild it and you're building the same height, you're fine. And then there's the cumulative effect. Enough is enough. So you get 4 times all these maximums within an 8-year period, within a half mile. And that's where we have to protect ourselves against say a Dana Point, where you could build, say maybe 20-unit apartment structures and build a whole bunch of them with different projects. At some point, enough is enough. And this is the cumulative effect, prevents that. Now, there are some outright exemptions. Single-family residential projects are off the table. Residential projects of 9 or fewer units, off the table. Low-income housing is defined by the state. The state has a very aggressive program for a lot of this stuff, including low-income housing. So there's really nothing we as a town can do to override a state mandate. Schools, hospital, museums, house of worship. We did not put fire stations, public safety buildings, because they just are never even close to being that large. Repair and maintenance of existing buildings that has been damaged by fire, flood, wind, earthquake, or other disasters up to the original size, placement, density. There's a lot of fear and doubt being cast around town by the opponents of this, that, oh, somebody wants to just fix their building up. This building's run down, it's decrepit, it needs a facelift, it needs a new front, it needs new glass in front, it needs new doors, new windows. None of that is going to be impacted by this. We're only talking about incremental square feet, incremental traffic. So, and then minor modifications to existing building off the table. Some people also, some opponents say, oh, well, if I want to build a 12-unit apartment building, I'm going to have to go before the ballot initiative. Not true. Just because it's 12 units, it's not categorically exempted. But it also doesn't mean it's going to trigger. I just went back a slide here. Unless that 12-unit apartment building is over 22,000 square feet, it's not going to have a trigger. Okay. So let's say you build 20 units of 1,000 square feet each, which apartment building is pretty decent. That wouldn't trigger it. Say the Dorn project out in the canyon, the live work project out in the canyon comes close on some of these criteria, and it would have had to go for a ballot, or they could have scaled the project back, which probably made a lot of sense considering how close they are to the Blue Stream and to the highway. Okay, so enough of this. I'd like each of us tuned in here to take a look at the initiative. The website is circled in yellow here, LagunaResidentsFirst.org. Laguna Residents First, all one word. Just type that in. And then you see the home menu, ballot initiative, that's also circled in yellow. Take a look at that. And then you'll see the summary. The summary is an easy read. It's a 1.5-minute read. It's the overview, but why the initiative is there. And then you can link to the whole ballot initiative. It is 18 pages. You can read it if you like. I encourage you to, but there's some frequently asked questions. That's like 3 pages, and you can get some questions answered there. There's also the official documents about the summary that you can refer to. So the takeaway, at least read the summary of the ballot initiative on the website. Ask questions, sign the petition to get the ballot initiative on the ballot. If you sign the petition, you're not committing to vote for anything. You're just requesting that it be put on the ballot. And we're doing very well in that. We're at our target now, and we still have a ways to go. But we're about halfway there. So that's a good sign. Enlist the support of your neighbors. If you'd like to help us collect signatures, we'd like that. Considering donating, we need ads, printing, legal fees. It all piles up when you do this kind of thing. And in November of 2022, vote for the beautiful Laguna Overlay District. So parting thoughts, I just wanted to give you some philosophy of what we as Laguna Residents First believe in, that the town should be unique and the development should not be part of a large consolidated development projects. It should be responsible, and that each incremental project mitigates its impact on its neighbors and its residents. And this includes traffic, parking, scale, compatibility, and aesthetics. Be flexible. Business owners can make their own decisions on how to use their space to meet the market's needs. And then be innovative. Find ways to preserve the well-known value that's Laguna's look and feel. So that's what this is all aimed at. So on that, why don't we take some questions?
Thank you, David. I appreciate all of the information. I hope it gives people more details. I think you thoroughly explained the why we need one, or if there should be one. I don't think anybody questions a need for some input on what's going on in town. So we had one question I saw pop up about where can I sign the initiative? I think that's on the website also, as to where to sign the initiative or how to get it. They'll email you and let you know that. So next, what I would like to do is have Gene Felder.
That just, if you want, send on the website, it has an email for us. It's real easy, LagunaResidentsFirst@gmail.com. But anyway, it's on the website. We'll bring the ballot initiative around. We have enough volunteers that we'll just give you door-to-door service. We'll wear a mask, we'll ring your doorbell, and you can sign. So just let us know. We'll be happy to bring a ballot initiative by.
Okay, great. And so Gene's going to probably ask you some very direct questions, hopefully to explain that, there's a lot of people out there that have totally misinformed other people about this. And so, it's 18 pages, which is tough, but Gene, I'm sure, has heard a lot of good questions, and now he's going to be the one to pose them. And hopefully you guys can give us more information that'll help get this moving along. So Gene, take it away.
Thank you, Madam President. David, a number of distinguished citizens in town sent a letter to Mayor Whalen And they would like the city to create a counter ballot initiative. And in their letter, they said that several times of property development applications are submitted, including fire stations and other public facilities. The public would be required to go to the polls and vote if the development should be approved. Thousands of Laguna properties would be subject to a public vote each and every time certain changes to a property are proposed. As a part of the ballot measure, the public is asked to revise in technical detail the portions of the city municipal code which regulates all property improvements within the city. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, there probably will be an alternate ballot initiative. We've had some really good interaction with the folks who got the Costa Mesa ballot initiative, the Newport Beach ballot initiative, the Point ballot initiative, and Irvine. We've had some good coaching from them, and there's always going to be an alternative ballot initiative proposed. So we're not surprised by that. I think that there is a significant exaggeration of how many projects this would cover. And it's really, Pottery Place, for example, could have been done without the ballot initiative. You have a developer there, Joe Hanauer, who has did a very responsible job with parking, did a very responsible job with scale, with compatibility, with the two separate projects on two lots that didn't need to be combined. But that would be an example of something that can be done without the ballot initiative. So I think that it's a gross exaggeration that there would be, thousands or even scores. And our hope is that it would be none, that the developers, look, smart people can make money off of anything as long as there are consistent rules and the rules are enforced. If there are consistent rules and the rules are enforced, they're still going to know how to make money. And if a merchant doesn't know how to make money in Laguna, it could be wrong merchandise, too high a rent. There could be a lot of issues there, but smart people can make money off of anything. This is to make the rules consistent, enforceable, predictable, so that there could be a better economic environment than what is right now. Because like a Mother May I game, the more you can influence city council or planning commission, it seems like the more you get away with. If I was to ask for a 0-foot setback, how successful would I be? No. If I was to ask for a height exemption, how successful would I be? Or any of us on this call? No, But if a developer went to Newport Beach back, say developed the Fashion Island, say, oh, this parking lot, this is going to be so expensive. We need the residents to come and build a parking garage for us. What would they say? Newport, the Newport residents would laugh them out of town. But in Laguna, we're like, oh, gee, maybe we better build more parking garages so everyone will be happy. So, some of this is self-inflicted wounds. We're just putting some reasonable rules in place, and some people are still going to moan about it. That happens.
David, don't the existing ordinances specifying maximum height of buildings adequately protect us?
Well, those are ordinances. In even the 36-foot high limit, it's the mansionization ordinance, and it's just an ordinance. It's passed by 3 city council people. Well, guess what? 3 city council people can change it. So this is to put the predictability that Laguna Beach really is serious about keeping lower forest and the ocean side of Coast Highway. In some places at 12, 1 story. A few other places, 2-story. And there are still a ton of places in town where if you want to make money off a 3-story building, do it. But it's not how much influence can you have on city council. Could you elect another city councilman, another city councilman, another city councilman, and end up with a surf and sand? Because city council voted surf and stand was a good idea in some people's mind at one point in this town. It wasn't that long ago.
David, isn't this one more obstacle to prevent business owners from repairing and improving their buildings?
No, see, repair and improving, if you're repairing and improving, you're not going to increase the density unless you're repairing and improving and making a whiskey bar out of a shoe store or something. But if you're repairing and improving your building, new front, new floors, new ceiling, new walls, new merchandise, new display racks, there's a lot of things that you could do in that property that have nothing to do with the ballot initiative. But in addition, the ballot initiative also has an exemption for minor improvements to existing properties. So even large properties will have some wiggle room for a little bit of improvement. But the thing that, every time a store owner wants to replace a window or upgrade the front of their building, they need to come to the voters is absolutely false.
David, we like our town the way it is. Where do we have rampant overdevelopment in Laguna Beach? What problem is this initiative trying to solve?
Well, the effort to monetize Laguna Beach is only recent. There hasn't been before Mr. Honecker acquired the 3 lots across from Ralph's and the whole block north of the Museum Hotel. There hasn't been big block long acquisition to make a monolithic structure in town. So this is a recent phenomenon. I think the whole industry of redevelopment has been perfected over the last, say, decade or two. And it's taken a while to get here to Laguna, but there is opportunity. We have premium value here. We have something going for us. We have a beautiful beach, but it's not just a beautiful beach. It's home to us. And the premium value that we paid for our homes, we want to preserve that. So that's why we have an interest in really carefully considering this new phenomenon of monetization of Laguna Beach for redevelopment.
Does this affect single-family residences?
No, single-family home residences are categorically completely exempt.
The next question has to do with the montage, and I'd like to remind people that what we had down there at that site was a trailer park, the Treasure Island Trailer Park. And when it was first purchased, the first proposal to the city was to make it 100% residential, to have residential lots, no hotel whatsoever. The Montage Hotel pays the city $4 million, or at least before the pandemic, paid the city $4 million a year in bed tax, transient occupancy tax, which the city is spending on different discretionary items. So is this similar to the law that created the overlay zone for the Montage?
Well, I think that there's definitely a parallel to be drawn there in that the residents of Laguna Beach were very actively involved in that. And it was a very divisive project that, I think the amount of dialogue that went into the Montage is really what needs to go on in any project of that size. That's a huge project. And because there was that dialogue, because there was voter input, I think that we got a better proposal out of that development. And going forward, people are afraid of what this might do to development. Let's say, smart people can make money off anything as long as there's consistent rules and they're consistently enforced. We have consistent rules and consistently enforced. And what we're asking for is that when a Montage-sized project come along, we, like back then, have a community dialogue on the specific proposal, not pie in the sky, maybe do this, maybe do that. Get the thing through planning commission, get the thing through city council, and then put it on the ballot initiative so that the voters can take a look and then approve it. And I think Laguna, the montage shows that the town came out in favor of a very large development project that really was positive in the community.
So one of the questions is this legal? Is it fair?
Well, ballot initiatives is something that we've had in California for a long time. So this is not the first ballot initiative. This isn't even the first redevelopment, or the first ballot initiative that addresses redevelopment in Orange County. Let's say Newport, Costa Mesa, Dana Point. There's that specific topic close by. So the legality is well established. The fairness is to go all the way back to colonial times. And one thing that as you become a property owner, one thing you insist on is there's some predictability. Gail, you know this, everybody gets their real property report. There's some predictability about what's going to go on next door. You don't want to have a home and then end up with a 20-unit apartment complex next door, unless you buy a home in an area that's zoned for that. The state does some things that are compromising that, but the fairness of having zoning laws to have predictable residential areas, predictable commercial areas, predictable industrial areas has been long established going back to colonial times.
Shouldn't we just leave this all to the city council and staff to decide?
Well, come back to the example that the city council has approved some interesting things. I think especially for this group who is sensitive to canyon issues, that we could see that city council is influenced by a myriad of strings being drawn in different directions, and that we can't always depend on them for important issues. I gave the examples of some of the issues that came to mind just in the canyon. So, I don't want to underestimate that process, but the California Constitution allows the voters of a local jurisdiction, such as the city of Laguna, to for themselves to sit in city council's place for important issues that they select. And if we select to sit in place of city council for the final for buildings over 22,000 feet, that is not only a right, but it seems that is the fair thing to do when there's so much organized, well-financed opposition who's trying to make money off of redevelopment of Laguna Beach. It's a fair balance.
If someone wants to develop a large hotel, what process would they follow?
So they would go to the similar to today. They'd hire an architect. They would develop a proposal, develop plans for that. They would then work those plans through the staff for detailed iterations. They then go to planning commission. Probably then take 2 sittings of planning commission for approval. There would almost certainly be an appeal to city council. That appeal would run its course. If it's on the coast side or highway or something, it may have to go to the coastal commission as well. Once we get a finalized package, then that finalized package goes to the ballot initiative. They don't have to collect signatures. City council is so inclined, they could just recommend it to the population, put it on to the voters and put it on a ballot. And if that's the case, then it appears on the next ballot and then everybody does a yea or nay. And in the meantime, people argue the pros and cons, just like we did for the montage, arguing the pros and cons. and then the electorate can make a decision. And I think Laguna Beach electorate is well positioned, has a good track record for making positive decisions about the future.
Well, thank you, David. Gail, I think our Q&A time is up, so I turn it back to you.
Well, thank you, both of you. And I don't see any further questions in chat. I see comments, but everybody, I appreciate your attendance, and I want you to remember to sign the initiative petition, and then we'll hope for the best with the information that's out there. And just so everybody knows, the storm is knocking power out. All of Emerald Bay is out of power right now. I just got a text.
Well, they're not part of the city of Laguna Beach, so we don't
I know,
care.
but it won't be long before the rest of Laguna might be out of power. So everybody should get their
And-
candles out.
And
So-
Gail, everybody should know that this ballot initiative will be agenda item 16 tomorrow night on the city council agenda, where they'll be considering an alternate ballot initiative. And there'll be a lot of discussion, a lot of fun things on the city council agenda tomorrow night, including defensible space and environmental sustainability and some other stuff.
So, and for those of you in the LCC membership, I want you to know your board of directors, we are paying attention to issues as they come along. We sent a letter out today for the green print mapping in the county to support that item. So, but we have to encourage you as individuals to speak up and please make your concerns known. And once again, thank you, David, for being here this evening. Thank you, Jean, for the questions. And please mark November 1st for Kati Petri Norris and watch your emails. Thank you all and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Dave, return the host to me.
I did before. Then I.
Oh, you did? Okay, well, I didn't notice it there. Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Thanks, David.
thank you.